Mandy-Winter Chapter 13. Things seemed to happen very fast after that. Matron came downstairs and was delighted to learn that everything had turned out so well. The Fitzgeralds were anxious to take Mandy back to Cranton Hall with them that very evening. But, strangely, Mandy decided she would prefer to wait until the following day. She couldn't help thinking of Sue, and she knew that she could not say goodbye to her friend so abruptly and leave her to spend the rest of the night alone. So it was decided that Bill would call for Mandy in the morning. The Fitzgeralds bid her a fond good night, and afterward Mandy broke the wonderful news to her friend. As she had anticipated, it was a difficult and ambivalent moment for Sue. "Oh, Mandy, you are lucky. What a fabulous thing to happen. I know you'll be very happy." There was a pause, and then quite suddenly Sue burst into tears. Mandy put her arms around her. "Oh, Sue, don't cry. Please don't. Think how super it's going to be. We'll be able to see lots and lots of each other. You can come to the house and play and maybe spend the night sometimes." Sue nodded and rubbed her eyes. "I'm really terribly thrilled. It's just that I'll miss you so badly." She blew her nose hard. "I'll miss you too." The girls clung to each other for a moment. Sue looked up and said, "Golly, how lucky it was that they came to see you tonight. You'd have been gone by tomorrow." Mandy nodded. It was a sobering thought. The following morning, Mandy was consumed with anxiety. She could hardly wait for Bill to come and pick her up, and she had the terrible fear that he might forget all about it or change his mind completely. Her packing was done in no time at all, since she had been prepared to leave the night before anyway. The entire orphanage knew about her departure, and when Bill finally drove up in his station wagon, it seemed that every child was waiting to say goodbye. It was almost more than Mandy could bear. She clambered into the front seat of the automobile and rolled down the window to wave to everyone. Matron was smiling happily and waving. Sue was smiling also, but her eyes were filled with tears. Mandy's last impression as the car pulled away was of the young, eager faces of the orphanage children and their voices raised high in farewell. "Goodbye, Mandy. See you soon. God bless, Mandy. Please come back and visit." Mandy waved until the orphanage was completely out of sight. When she turned back in her seat, she discovered that she was crying. Bill looked across at her and smiled fondly. "A little sad?" he asked. "Yes." "And happy too?" "Oh, yes." "A bit of both." "Well, that's understandable." "It's silly, but I wish they could all come too. It's terrible somehow to leave them behind." Bill nodded. "I know, Mandy, I know. But those children will find a life for themselves one day, just as you have. You'll see. It may not be right away. Perhaps it will be when they are grown up or when they marry, but it will happen. And in the meantime, Matron isn't going to let them be unhappy. Now is she?" "No." Mandy wiped her eyes. There was silence for a moment. The car sped through the country lanes, and Mandy looked out of the window at the crisp, clear morning. Traces of snow were everywhere. Clear sunshine bathed the countryside in a silvery light like a watercolor. Mandy shook her head in bewilderment. "I just don't understand why it was me that got to be so lucky," she said. "Oh, gosh, Mandy, what shall I tell you?" Bill looked thoughtful. "I suppose luck does have something to do with it, but you're a very special little girl, and I think you're strong and not afraid to go looking for your life. You know, I think you could be a good example to the orphanage children. Perhaps one day when you're truly settled in with us and you know that we're not ever going to let you go, you might consider going back to visit them from time to time. I'm sure it would help them." Mandy thought about it. "I'd like that," she said simply.